Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of A Piece of New York. Today we're doing our side-by-side episode where we go to restaurants in the same vicinity that serve the same food, and we do that side-by-side comparison and let you know which restaurant reigns supreme. Today, we're on 2nd Avenue, and we're going to have some drunken noodles. Thai and Thep Thai are one block apart, and they're separated by 74th Street. Our first stop, it's going to be Thai, and Thai, it is a contemporary bar and restaurant serving upscale street Thai food. So let's go inside, check it out, see what they're all about. So we got some crispy Thai wings, and then we got what we came for, that drunken noodles. First, we're starting with this appetizer, the crispy Thai herbed wings, dipping it in sweet Thai chili sauce. Cheers, folks. This is a crispy wing. Spicy. That garlic gives it a nice kick to it. But also this sweet chili sauce also makes a contrast with it. With that flavor, makes it sweet as well. Despite the outside, despite that crispy, crunchy, glazed skin, the meat is very tender, very delicious. It's good. I'm enjoying it. So we came here for the drunken noodles. Now, Pad Ki Mao, despite the name and drunken noodles, it actually doesn't have any alcohol at all. Pad Ki Mao in Thai, the pad means stir fry, and Ki Mao means drunkard. Now, there's a couple different stories of how the name of this dish came to be. One was that a woman was so upset with her husband for being so drunk that in order to teach him a lesson, she threw in a bunch of spices, a bunch of chilies into his noodles and gave it to him. Another story is that with the drunken noodles, it's actually believed that it's a great hangover cure because there are so many spices, there are so many chilies, that it wakes up you as well as your taste buds. Look at that. Very delicious. The thing about drunken noodles, there's a ton of flavor in every bite. With that sweet basil, you get a delicious, earthy flavor. On top of that, the soft texture of the thick noodles. Also with the addition of the spicy vegetables with that beef that's also very spicy as well. I mean, I didn't go out last night, but if I had, this definitely would have been my hangover cure. So good, so good. Let's get a pepper in there also. Just across the board, you have a hint of earthy, delicious freshness, very green. Also, though, with that beef, with that tender, juicy beef, it's making a very succulent dish. And then, of course, that soft noodles. It's really bringing all the flavors together for just one delicious, exquisite meal. Now for the Thai tea. We're going to mix all those flavors together. This is like a dessert. Very creamy, very candy-like, very sugary, sweet. It's delicious. Great for after a delicious post meal. When you come to this place, you got to make sure that you also get the iced tea, the Thai iced tea. One of the things I will say about this place also, first impressions, great ambiance. I mean, the lighting, the exposed brick puts off for a great date spot. Or if you want to come with some friends when you're hungover, another great place to come to as well. Next stop, Thep Thai, which means divinity, excellence, supreme. Let's see if this place lives up to its name. So we got the Thep wings, lemongrass marinated fried chicken wings glazed with tamarind, kapir, lime sauce. Man, first impression, I'll say, Thep, they gave us the gold silverware. You fancy, huh? You fancy. And look at this piece of meat, by the way. I mean, just comparing it to the other spot that we were just at, Up Thai, these wings definitely have a lot more meat on them. Cheers. So it's not as crispy. In all honesty, the outside, it's a lot more tough as well. The inside's a little bit tender, but with regard to the meat, I don't think it's as good as Up Thai, to be truthful. But I will say this: the sauce, it's very sweet. That lemon flavor leaves a delicious citrus taste. The meat here, at least these wings, much more tough. Very sweet though. It's okay. In all honesty, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's the best that we've had today because it's not, but it ain't bad either. So now it's time for the Thai iced tea. One of the things that I will say is, I mean, neon orange. It almost looks like it's carrot juice. Cheers. Believe it or not, this one's also a lot more bitter. Um, where Up Thai actually had much more creamy, milky flavor to it or texture to it. This one, it's a little bit more watery. Yeah, it's not as good. It's not as sweet. It does have a hint of sweetness, but in all honesty, it does really remind me of more of a carrot juice. These guys seem to be knocking it out of the park with their presentation. everything looks delicious, everything looks good, but right now, the flavor just doesn't really match up to the presentation. So when it comes to pad ki mao or drunken noodles, most every time you're going to have tomatoes, egg, onions, peppers, as well as that holy Thai basil. Where it's going to vary from restaurant to restaurant, most usually is the vegetables. Once again, we have great presentation with this drunken noodles. I mean, it looks delicious, looks fantastic. Give it a little bit of stir. Ooh. You can also see that hot steam coming up. Get some peppers. I'm gonna grab this big guy right here. This big piece of beef. Oh yeah, it's very hot. Those onions, very crunchy. It's hot. Onions, onions provide a crunchy texture. This is also much more spicy. The chilies, the peppers on here, fantastic, fantastic. That beef, a little bit more on the tough end, but still juicy, succulent. This is definitely better than better than the Thai iced tea. It's better than these wings. I think I'm liking this. It's so spicy. It's kind of making my throat a little tough to talk, but it's good. It's good. There's no water in there. So the thing about Thep Thai, they also ask you the level of spices that you want. Up Thai did not. They pretty much just said, "This is our drunken noodles. Here you go." With this place, I asked for the spicy style, and this is much more spicy. The greens in this also give it a much more earthy flavor. The meat is a little bit more tough than the last place that we were at, but overall, the flavor, top notch, very spicy. It's good. I enjoyed it. Definitely enjoying this a lot more than the other two the wings and the tea that we just ordered. All right, folks. In conclusion, let me say this: both places very hip, very trendy. I mean, they both have great environments. Whether you want to come to a place and enjoy some time with your friends, if you're suffering a little bit of a hangover, both environments are good. But if you want to also have a nice date night, Thep had a little bit of a nice, cleaner environment, if you will. Even though I would also take my lady to Up Thai as well. When it comes to the appetizers, as well as that Thai iced tea, I think we both know who won, right? Up Thai, it was thicker, it was milkier, the texture was better, it was much more sweeter. Their wings, even though they didn't have as much meat as Thep did, which thumbs up to Thep for giving you some good size wings. There was just so much more flavor, right? It was spicier. They also had that sweet chili sauce, which was delicious. It was very crispy on the outside as well as very tender on the inside. So thumbs up to their wings over at Up Thai. But we didn't come here for the Thai's tea. We didn't come here for appetizers. We came here for drunken noodles. Now, when it comes to Up Thai, they're going for that upscale street food. It was saltier. It was greasier. It had much more oil. So if you're looking to cure that hangover, Up Thai definitely had it for you. But when it comes to presentation, when it comes to the deliciousness of the soft, fluffy noodles that Thep had, and also the size of the beef that they gave. I mean, Thep, they gave you big, thick slices of beef in their drunken noodles, and it was fantastic. On top of that, they also ask you, how spicy do you want it? Which at Up Thai, they don't give you that option. And we went the spiciest, and it was so delicious. But on top of that, the onions gave a nice sweet contrast in the spiciness and flavor. So if I have to give a choice, I gotta go with Thep when it does come to the drunken noodles. One thing I also didn't mention is they also fry the basil in with the rest of the dish, also giving it a sweetness as well. So folks, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you enjoy the content, give us a subscribe. And the weekend's coming up, y'all. Enjoy it. Adios. Take it easy.